Hi everyone and welcome to the Southern Nevada Sports Show, proudly brought to you by the Vegas Lions. Welcome to my immediate left, Jeffrey Belknap, who is a very happy owner today.
Yes,
so happy that he's brought in another owner as well. So Bill Miller joins us for the first time. So welcome Bill and Jeff.
Hey, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So the reason I said they were happy, ladies and gentlemen, is because their Vegas Lions and my Vegas Lions had a crushing shutout victory last week, 34-0 over crosstown rivals, the Cobras.
Yeah, it's a good game. Obviously, when you're playing a in-town rival, it's always big, and you want to win one in front of your home fans. But we played well on all sides of the ball. Offense was moving the ball. Defensively, they only crossed the 50-yard line one time. So it's pretty dominant. Scored a couple times on the special teams, 2 pick sixes, blah, blah, blah. It was good stuff, man. It was good.
So we are going to touch on that more later on.
Yes.
But before we get going, I do want to say a huge thank you to Pro Kick Australia for their support last week, and especially Wade Lees, or Wado, as he's known to his mates. Now, he actually sent me through a photo of him setting up a laptop at training back in Australia. So that was a fantastic effort. So thanks very much, Wado, and Pro Kick Australia, and the coaches down there, Nathan Chapman.
Thank you, Pro Kick Australia. Good stuff.
And John Smith. So fantastic stuff, guys. As usual, jam-packed show coming up. We're going to cover a lot of different sports. But as we started off last week, we start off with the baseball, and it's only heating up even further now.
Yeah.
With, as Bill, you mentioned earlier, broom time with the New York Mets.
Sweet.
Amazing, yeah. I really expected much more from the Cubs, but it's a young team, and I think that they didn't meet their expectations. They exceeded them this year.
Yes, no doubt.
And the best is yet to come, but for the folks in Chicago, they at least got one playoff series win. So it's, I think that would have been even worse if they had lost that series. But
better for you.
Better for me.
Being a Dodger fan, of course, Bill's
Yeah, and since we brought up the Dodgers,
yep.
I've got to really club them over the head. How on earth they could jettison Don Mattingly in that fashion is just, it's absolutely a disgrace.
Well, when I look at, hiring and firing a coach, when I really think about that, winning 3 straight division titles just isn't the reason you fire somebody. I mean, usually you fire somebody when they don't win.
Yeah.
But you got a guy that's won 3 straight titles, and really when you think about it, he had 2 pitchers that had 35 wins.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like 30% of their wins from 2 guys, and they were able to put together a 90-win season, 90-plus win season. It's just it's shocking to me.
Yeah, I think that a lot of it had to do with who has won a title.
Right.
And, of course, that would be
the Giants,
the team from up north.
You don't want to mention the name.
Yeah, there's no who, didn't win a division. But, the team I always worry about making the playoffs is the Giants, because when they make the playoffs, they know how to win.
Yeah, anything can happen.
Yeah.
And they did take out my Tigers in one of those years. So.
Yeah. And, of course, then they took out the Royals, my American League team.
Yeah.
But it did, in 7 games. I don't think anybody expected the Royals to take
a great series.
Games. But the Royals now are on the brink of going back to the World Series. So if anybody who thought that they were going to have that sophomore letdown.
Yeah, the 1 and out.
Yeah.
Well, they came back strong, and they do have a big game tomorrow night in KC. So that's going to be
And let me
interesting.
just send a quick shout out to my family in Kansas City, because I'm going to send them a copy of this show.
What's up, Uncle?
Go Royals. Close it out. Make it happen.
But just back to the series, Broom Time series, just quickly. We have to touch on Daniel Murphy. Now, just how big of an effort was that? 6 homers in 6 games, postseason games.
Insane.
Now,
it really is.
You guys obviously know this sport much better than I do. So talk me through the last time that happened, or has it even happened before?
Happened.
Never happened before?
Actually, the record was 5, which he actually tied.
Yep.
And then with the home run that he had last night, he actually broke the record.
Yeah. So obviously now they've got a few rest days. So I know both of you guys like KC and have backed them before.
Yes.
On our radio show, actually, which is the Vegas Lions radio show, which is right smack bang in the middle of the week at 12 p.m. on Vegas All Net Radio. So tune in for that as well, guys, every Wednesday. So, so how big of a deal do you think that is, having a few rest days now, so they can put their feet up, watch the other 2 teams slug it out now in Game 6 and potentially 7 as well?
Well, I mean, I think that they want the game to go to a Game 7, because that's another 3 or 4 days off. On the flip side of that, a lot of people say that it kind of takes them out of their rhythm. So, after playing 162 games and then a couple rounds of playoffs, I'm sure they're looking forward to some days off. But and especially the pitching.
Yeah.
Because the best advantage that you have is to have a rested pitching staff. Because you got a number one starter that could potentially pitch 3 times if you needed to. So it should be pretty interesting to see how it goes. And I'm rooting for KC, but if the Mets win, I won't be mad. I mean, I'm not a New York fan by any means, but they deserve it. They've been waiting a long time. So.
Yeah, I mean, if it were the Yankees, we'd be having a different conversation.
Right.
But no, as I mentioned to you, Jake, before the show, I usually have to root against someone.
Yeah.
In this case, I'm not rooting against anyone. I'm rooting for the Royals, but I'm not rooting against anyone.
And this is one of your favorite times of the year, Bill, too, isn't it? World Series just around the corner.
Baseball.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's going to be good times.
Yeah.
Just one last thing before we move on to the NFL. The Cubs. Now, they hadn't produced for so long in the postseason, and they have let their fans down yet again. So just a quick one on the Cubs, guys. What do you think there?
I just think that they're going to rebuild. I mean, they got a ton of young talent. They got a young pitching staff. Obviously they got some players that are going into free agency, which is always a challenge, to keep them there. But if they keep the team together, then I think they'll do well.
Bill?
Oh, it starts with the coaching. When they signed John Madden.
Yep.
I knew it was just a matter of time. I had no idea though that they would actually do as well as they did this year. So it's just blue skies ahead. For the north side of Chicago.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think, especially on ESPN and a few of the other broadcasters, they were saying how weird it was to have, such cold weather in Chicago for a game, because they're used to only having games in, July and August.
The season's well over by
now.
Yeah,
exactly. And I actually saw a lot of posts on Facebook as well with some friends up in Chicago, all rugged up and ready to go to a postseason game. So disappointing for them, obviously, but. For one of the oldest franchises in the MLB too, aren't they? So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's tough one.
So we're going to move on to NFL now. Obviously, there's always a lot happening in the NFL, but we've got a game starting in about 5 or 10 minutes' time now. The Seahawks away up in San Francisco. So they were the Legion of Boom, Jeff, weren't they? But what are we calling them now?
I'm calling them the Legion of Boo Boo after what I've seen. I mean, they just really played poorly, and you're looking at a team that. Could potentially be 1-5. I mean, if that touch pass out of bounds against the Lions.
Which one was that? Against your Lions,
yeah,
wasn't
of course.
it?
Yeah, that's all right. We'll live on. But the whole point with that play is we know the ref got suspended.
Yep.
Defensively they're just not looking the same. Everyone thought it was going to be different when Cam Chancellor came through.
Yep.
It hasn't. It's actually been just as bad or worse.
Yeah.
They've lost four leads in 4 straight games in the fourth quarter. A couple of times up more than 14 points.
Yeah. Double-digit leads. Fourth quarter.
And
Seattle used to be a lockdown team.
That's right.
You could just change the channel because you know that was a wrap.
Yep.
Now, you also had a bit of a weather update for Seattle. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did hear there was a devastating, and normally when there's natural disasters, I take it very seriously, but. I heard there was an 8.0 earthquake in Seattle.
8.0, wow.
8.0, yeah. And it happened shortly after the Seahawks fans fell off the bandwagon. That's right, Seattle fans. I'm talking to you. You wore your jersey last year. You wear it this year.
The main thing is, though, that no one was injured. That's the main thing, yeah.
That's right. Maybe some hearts and some feelings, but that's about it.
Exactly. So I've put a couple of balls on the tee for your jokes in the last minute or so. So Bill's going to have all the jokes come out after the break. But obviously... Seattle not going as well as we would have thought. Any other news grab your eyes this week, Bill?
Yeah, apparently it looks like Des Bryant is ahead of schedule as far as his rehab. In fact, he even took a few passes today down in Dallas. They're not looking for him to suit up this week, but it looks like that original target of 8 to 10 weeks is probably not going to be. And so since they're bringing Matt Castle in, he'll, possibly within a couple of weeks he'll have, a super target.
So they could really still get to 8-8. They can still be a 500 team that they've been for the last 20 years.
Yeah. He's on fire, this guy. Someone's got to put him out here.
And that will be good enough for second place.
Yeah.
In the NFC East.
Yeah. So that brings us to the end of our first segment. We'll be back after a short commercial break to chat some more NFL and a lot of other sports as well. So join us.